Welcome to We Can Be,
the podcast of the Heinz Endowments,
where we work to build
an exemplary,
sustainable region
where everyone
prospers and belongs.
Welcome to We Can Be. I'm your host, Chris DeCardy. National Geographic's recent Best of the World issue heralded Pittsburgh as a must-visit place alongside international cities like Vancouver, Beijing, Rio de Janeiro, and Quebec. A key reason Pittsburgh is on the list is our region's vibrant arts and culture scene. The strength of our scene is no accident, as today's guest knows well. Since 2023, Kendra Whitlock Ingram has led the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, which has driven the successful cultural and economic revitalization of a critical 14-block arts district central to Pittsburgh's downtown. Founded over 40 years ago with inspiration and support from the endowments, the Trust has overseen one of the most remarkable transformations of an American city's downtown in the past half-century. Kendra's wealth of experience began right here with an internship with the Pittsburgh Opera while she was a student at Duquesne University, and now includes leadership roles across the nation in cities including Baltimore, Detroit, Phoenix, Milwaukee, and Denver. From Arts Landing, the new $31 million arts and culture-centered downtown public space with spectacular river views, to the importance of equity in arts leadership roles, and to the post-pandemic challenges of cultural organizations, we have a lot to talk about. Kendra Whitlock Ingram, welcome to We Can Be.
Thank you so much, Chris. I'm glad to be here.
You lead one of the more complex and impactful arts organizations in this country. What is the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust?
The Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. So we are a 41-year-old organization, and, we really started because of Jack Heinz, the grandson of the Heinz Company's founder, H.J. Heinz. Jack Heinz had a vision for this area of downtown Pittsburgh, which was a red light district for many years. Jack reached out to our founder, Carol Brown. She shared the same vision, and they started buying up real estate in this 14-block area of downtown Pittsburgh. And the thought was, we're going to start with renovating some theaters, some iconic theaters, and then the big development that the Cultural Trust is famous for in downtown, which is Theater Square Complex. It includes the fantastic Katz Plaza that has the original works by Louise Bourgeois, and landscape architect Dan Kiley created a tree grove, and Carol engaged the famous architect Michael Graves to design the O'Reilly Theater, the Greer Cabaret, and Michael Graves designed parking structure, which I think might be the only one in the country. Actually, I've heard there's one other.
Excellent.
In 2001, our second CEO started, Kevin McMahon, and I really credit him with growing our performing arts and visual arts programming. So we took on the Broadway series, which is one of our largest programming arms, contemporary dance, jazz, family programming. We started programming more galleries. We also took on the Dollar Bank Three Rivers Arts Festival, Highmark First Night. These are major free festivals in downtown that bring hundreds of thousands of people, and really kind of grew our platform as performing arts and visual arts organization. So today, what we are is really kind of a combination of both of those things. We're a steward of all these iconic venues. We program them. We do a lot of programming outside of them within the district. And we also serve as a bit of a economic engine, using arts and culture as that vehicle to drive activation in downtown. And I see my role as, protecting the investment that our founders and leaders have made in the district, and how we're really going to continue to make downtown a vibrant, active, and exciting place to live, work, and play.
Kendra, you've talked about this investment in spaces, some venues that were dilapidated but had such promise, others being created with world-renowned architects. Take us on a quick tour. What do we got?
Yeah, so we have 7 performance spaces, 4 galleries, and then 4 major public spaces, public realm spaces. The theaters are pretty significant. The Benedum Theater, nearly 3,000 seats. So that's our biggest venue. It houses the opera, the ballet, CLO, our Broadway series. Next biggest is the Byam Theater. Amazing, beautiful, 1,300 seats. It's where we do a lot of our contemporary dance programming, our family programming. Then our next theater is the O'Reilly Theater, the famous Michael Graves design, gorgeous, and that's the primary home of the Pittsburgh Public Theater. Right next door to that is the Greer Cabaret Theater, which might be one of my favorite venues in the district. I cannot tell you the number of artists that come to perform. We do a Broadway cabaret series in there. We just had a performance last night with Sierra Boggess, who originated the role of Ariel in Little Mermaid and also was Andrew Lloyd Webber's favorite Christine in The Phantom of the Opera. She was just raving about this theater. Like, can I record you and play that online? So that is a beautiful 200-seat cabaret theater. In addition to that, on Liberty Avenue, we have 4 performance spaces. Liberty Magic, which is a 66-seat theater that uses magic as a medium for storytelling. The Harris Theater, which is a 200-seat movie theater. And our newest space, 3 stories, is a 100-seat black box that is completely rent-free for individual artists or small arts organizations. You know, come in, we provide a sound and light tech, a house manager, and you can have a really awesome performance experience in that renovated space. Arcade Comedy also, which is a improv comedy space. So those are the big ones.
You got it all. And this is really a credit to the leaders in this region in the past, including Jack Heinz, but others that had the foresight and the ability to cobble together the resources to invest in this infrastructure that was decaying, and then to invest underneath that and actually what goes inside that infrastructure.
Yes.
What is the mission for the Cultural Trust, the purpose of performing arts as you see it now?
We are really in service to the community. That's always been a big part of our mission throughout our 41 years, but I think now even more than ever, we are really listening to what the community is demanding from us from a programming standpoint. I mean, clearly there are programs that do really, really well from a ticket sales and attendance standpoint, but even some of our more fine arts programming, like contemporary dance, in many communities, performing arts centers are pulling back on contemporary dance. The Cultural Trust, we don't have to because, frankly, the community has demanded it. We do have to, subsidize it because it's something that doesn't pay for itself with just ticket sales alone. But people show up here. That's what we're really trying to do now, listen to what the community needs and then act on that.
You have worked in different cities and led this type of work in different cities, and you also have a strong connection to Broadway. Looking at the trends right now for how expensive it is to produce and present theater, looking at the trends about people who have so many other opportunities for entertainment of all sorts, including the classic stay in your couch and never get out of your pajamas. How do you look at this moment for performing arts organizations, and how are you thinking about your role leaning into that future, given that you've got producing and presenting organizations here in addition to the theater that you're bringing from other places?
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I think the thing we've seen most clearly with trends of audiences, they have very high expectations when they come out to a show. They want a perfect night. Easy parking, babysitter taken care of, maybe a nice dinner beforehand, an exceptional performance. That has really put a lot of pressure on organizations like ours and all performing arts organizations, frankly, that we have to deliver like a really special experience. And we're seeing this across industries. We're seeing this across genres. You have to figure out how to make those shows really special and how to make the audience feel like they're part of something. This all boils down to loyalty and building loyalty, and the responsibility really being on the performing arts organization. You can't kind of take for granted like you just have a good product. That's not good enough anymore. Audiences have much greater demands. That's something, we're trying to contemplate not only with programming, but also the surrounding experience.
One of the things that you have and are working on is the capacity for you and other performing arts organizations to learn more about your audiences, to be able to respond not to that general demand, but actually more specifically.
Yes.
Share a little bit about what you're doing, how you're looking at audiences, and how you're looking at answering the question you just posed.
Yeah, so, we've had visits from execs from Major League Baseball. The amount they know about their audiences is so incredibly sophisticated. And they are, in my opinion, really excellent at creating an experience that meets the audience member where they are. So, they have fans that will, go to every game, sit through all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But they also have people who really are just into the stats. MLB creates all this customized experience for them where they can follow I don't know all the baseball terms, but like the errors. And is that right? Is that a thing?
Sure, there are errors, there are hits, there are all sorts of things.
Hits
How are
and
these
strikes.
pitchers doing?
We were kind of blown away with how much they know about their fans and how they custom the experience to them. And I think we in the theater world are also trying to take a page from that book. We know that our audiences, they are so into the show titles. They want to know all the things about it. The other thing we're hearing from audiences is, they're looking at that experience of going to the show as kind of a culmination, but they want all this experience beforehand. They want us to send them content, the behind the scenes. That's what they want from us. And these customizable experiences and really making the fan or the patron or the audience member feel like they're kind of part of this club is something that we in the performing arts could really lean into a little bit more.
You're part of that before the show, during the show, after the show.
Correct.
It reinforces, and it's personalized in this kind of way. Now let's go to the other direction you talked about, which is actually the actual physical surround as people are coming to downtown Pittsburgh, to these venues. They are iconic. They are unique. And one of the things you described about the Cultural District and the Cultural Trust was this integration of physical space and performance, but it's not just indoor physical space. You talked about outdoor physical space and public spaces. So talk about that as being a critical pillar in the magic that you're trying to create down here.
That has always been, I would say, the one thing that the Cultural District was missing was a proper outdoor arts and culture space. I think it's been a natural evolution, particularly as our programming has evolved. The Dollar Bank Three Rivers Arts Festival, Highmark First Night, these are two major festivals that the Cultural Trust presents. They have now become two of the largest touch points that we have with audiences throughout our entire year. So our audiences are multi-generational, multiracial, come from all over the region, and we've never really had a space to be able to create the same experience that people have come to expect in the theaters at those outdoor festivals. So how do we re-envision what downtown can be other than a center of business, but also a potential center of leisure? So we have this 4.5-acre space, and now that space will become a 4.5-acre green space that will be the home to a number of these free outdoor programming activities that we have that we've really never had a permanent home for. So it's really kind of changing our view of how downtown activation can happen through arts and culture in a way that's extending people's time in downtown. So with Arts Landing, which is the name of this amazing 4.5-acre space, that space is now going to be home to these festivals, and it'll be a place for people to come early. They can have a little something to eat, maybe at one of the food trucks at Arts Landing or a pop-up food and beverage experience. They can play at the playground. They can have a round of pickleball on the pickleball courts. They can just throw a blanket out on the lawn and relax. They could go to the baseball game after. They could go to a show. They can just maybe spend the afternoon downtown. And that's something that's really going to change, I think, the fabric of the cultural district in a way that I'm not sure we could have envisioned in the earliest days. Even though I say this to Carol Brown all the time, the courage it took to envision the district as it is today, if you could see what it was then, it was hard to see. So it is kind of amazing, where we are today.
Hi, everyone. I am Kendra Whitlock Ingram. I'm the president and CEO of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. I am here at Arts Landing. This is a construction site of our new project. We have so much already completed. Our retaining wall is in. We have the elevation grade changes happened. We are on time. We are under budget, and we will be ready to open by April of 2026.
You can see this walking around in downtown Pittsburgh right now. You can see these spaces starting to take shape. It's not just Arts Landing, but a few blocks away is the revitalization of another public space, so Market Square, and that energy about the potential for the future. And you also have this professional experience that has done this work across the country: Denver, Omaha, Baltimore, Detroit, Phoenix, Tulsa. You have been places and made a big impact in those. As you think about this future that you want to create, what's the thing that you never want to forget that is uniquely Pittsburgh? And what's the thing that you want to make sure you bring from that combined experience in those other cities and those other leadership positions?
That's a great question. You know, I think the thing I'm learning, and I'm still learning about Pittsburgh, is people are very proud of this city and region. And I've seen this in a lot of places I've lived. There's a lot of pride about where you come from. But it's uniquely a Pittsburgh thing. So I do feel a bit of a responsibility to honor the past, honor the things that have kind of brought us to this point, and also infuse that with some best practices and ideas and maybe some creativity from other places I've been. It is interesting now that I've been here for nearly 3 years. I travel a lot, and every time I go to another city, I'm constantly comparing it to Pittsburgh, which is something I don't think I've ever done any place I've lived.
In those other cities?
Yes.
Interesting.
It is. And
Why?
It's because Pittsburgh is so much better. I'm not going to call out any cities I've been recently, but I honestly believe this. This city is just so much better than so many places I've been. And that's no diss on any other city. It's just, I mean, we have something very special here. And I think we can also learn from other places. I think we have a responsibility at the Cultural Trust of also bringing the best of the world to Pittsburgh.
Give an example. What are you excited about trying to draw on or bring that would get the best out of what we've got here from our past and this unique moment that's right now?
One area where the Cultural Trust in particular, as a performing arts center organization, can help with that is, you know, performing arts centers are known for bringing internationally and nationally renowned artists to a city. And that is no disrespect to any local artist. We need an ecosystem with both things, with local artists who are continuing to grow the region culturally, as well as some of the world's greats like Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, like Martha Graham, like the touring cast of Hamilton. All of those things make a really great ecosystem. And I do have a bit of a passion about ensuring that the Cultural Trust is continuing to showcase those types of artists, even the artists that, you know, again, may not pay for themselves in ticket sales alone, to ensure that Pittsburgh gets to see these incredible performers as well.
One of the things that we are so committed to at the Endowments is that the arts, visual and performing arts, is a pathway for people to see themselves in their community. And through that, to have space to be exposed to somebody else's at an emotional level, to create understanding. And that's a piece of what you're talking about in this mix. I think the shorthand is to have Pittsburgh be a place that the next Andy Warhol does not move away from in order to be able to achieve artistic excellence, but moves to. You've been an advocate for breaking down barriers to access across all sorts of divides, including economic divides. So how do you get the best of this, right? Bringing that excellence, still making it accessible economically in different ways, and then also across different cultural traditions.
It is a tricky formula. But I think we are so well positioned to do all of those things, primarily because our mission is multidisciplinary presenting. And that multidisciplinary presenting mindset basically naturally inspires diversity, different genres, different cultures being represented. That's really kind of what drew me to landing in this part of the arts industry, because I personally like the fact that we can reach so many different types of people through a variety of different types of programming, whether it be hip hop or contemporary dance or musical theater, visual arts. We had the Sugar Hill Gang on the Three Rivers Arts Festival last year, followed by the next day, Ben Folds. So I love that we can do that, and that we can have, this mix of everything from a Broadway paid ticket to a free experience, all of it at the same quality level.
You just distracted me with the Sugar Hill Gang. I just had Rapper's Delight from my youth in high school in 1980 just cycling through my head.
I wish you had seen that show.
I wish I had too.
I think it's
That's cool.
I particularly point out that show. It's of all the shows I've seen at the Cultural Trust in the last 3 years, that show was such what I think we want to be as the Cultural Trust. Because it was multiracial, multi-generational. You had CEOs standing next to construction workers, literally screaming the words of Rapper's Delight. That is exactly what we want to be. And it just epitomizes, I think, what the power of that type of programming can do.
As you well know, I have the privilege on serving on the board of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust. And you recently shared with the board the plans for public art in Arts Landing.
Yes.
I was so impressed with how your team has reached out to artists in all the ways that you just talked about for this initial set of public art on the site. Maybe just lift up a little bit about what's exciting to you about specific artists, or how you see that embodying in physical space on the site, what you just talked about in performance.
I'm so glad you brought that up. And I have to give all the credit to our director of galleries and public art, Anastasia James. She has truly done a remarkable job doing, that exact formula of local and nationally and internationally renowned artists of all different types of backgrounds, all different types of arts mediums, frankly, representing a variety of different people who can see themselves. Everything from Vanessa German's extraordinary work of taking the handprints of 100-year-old plus citizens of Pittsburgh and making those the backs of a bench that, as she says, will hold up the next generation of Pittsburgh. I mean, it's just like you get chills listening to her talk about it. To the first ever artistically designed pickleball courts with color and vibrancy. It's really a perfect curation, I think, of an inaugural mix of public art. And our vision for this, we kind of went back and forth on this. And do we want to have some large, iconic works that are permanently installed, or do we want to consider something more transitional and that would rotate like a gallery? But now, after seeing how the High Line has created this kind of rotating 18 to 24 month installations, which I've now become more attuned to because of our project with Arts Landing, I'm looking forward to the next thing that they're going to put on the plinth. And I think that idea of getting people interested in coming back to the site with rotating art is really something I hope we hold on to, so that people can come back to seeing something new and experiencing different artists over the years.
I think one of the other artists you feature is an artist that is neurodiverse and has this incredible form of expression that's just so relatable to folks in this mix. And it reminds me that you're also designing that space to be accessible to everybody, including members of our disability community. Talk about that, and also talk about what we often hear about young people and out of school time, and being able to take that energy and help create spaces and opportunities. You've got a high school right across the street. So talk a little bit about activation in this site for all sorts of folks in our community that you're trying to be able to make happen.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the diversity that we're looking to achieve. We did this space in a very short period of time, as you know, but we really stayed true to ensuring we were considering all citizens and residents of Pittsburgh. All of our playground equipment is completely physically accessible as well as accessible for a variety of sensory experiences. And then in relation to the high school, so for those not from Pittsburgh, the High School for the Performing Arts is directly across the street from Arts Landing. I actually just toured the High School for the Performing Arts, and I was like, man, I wish I had this when I was in high school.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And we met with the leadership, and they are really viewing, and we were so excited to hear this, they are really viewing Arts Landing as an extension of their campus, and they plan to use it as an outdoor classroom, like writing class out in the backyard or one of the visual arts classes in drawing. I'm also really excited about high school kids just hanging out there and activating the space after school. I think it's a really good place for that.
Breaking news just into the newsroom and the Steel City. The pick is in, and Pittsburgh is hosting the NFL Draft in 2026. We're learning the plan for the 3-day event is to incorporate iconic parts of the city into the draft, including Acrisure Stadium and Point State Park.
I'm here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the shadow of Acrisure Stadium, and in 202 days, where I'm standing is going to be the center of the football universe. We are so pumped up, we're fired up, we are ready to go.
The talk of the town, the 2026 NFL Draft coming here to the city of Pittsburgh.
The Steelers are on the clock.
So one of the things that's going to happen next year, and it is a little bit why you keep on talking about the timeline, was to have this hugely ambitious project completed in a year. And that is because Pittsburgh's hosting the NFL Draft.
Right.
1 million people visiting, the eyes of the world on Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right in your backyard. What do you want these visitors to grab and engage with about the huge importance of creative spaces, of the arts, for the future of this region and the world as they come here to celebrate another creative art, which is athletics and sports?
It is kind of ironic that we're creating, this amazing green space that will have an arts and culture focus for engagement. And that very first audience will be a sports fan. I think this is where we can show that the arts really are for everyone, and that someone who's here to, see who the first draft picks are going to be can also say, gosh, that sculpture is really cool, or man, this city is so pretty. It is just such a beautiful place. This is an amazing place. I mean, we hear this from visitors so frequently, how walkable, how beautiful. And I'm really hoping that people leave Pittsburgh and say, I could really see myself living there. Because that's a big part of our future, too, is growing the population and bringing it back to kind of where it was. National Geographic just named us one of the top places to visit 2026. And they shouted out Arts Landing, of all things.
Yep.
And we are, I can't talk about it yet, but we are planning some fairly significant activity during the draft to soft launch the opening of Arts Landing.
Cool, a tease. Excellent.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. Come back to me later for more.
One of the things that I get excited about the NFL Draft is that in this era of such division, of people running to their corners of the internet, there are places that are unifying, and sports still plays that role.
Yes.
And getting people outside of their bubbles, figurative and literal, coming to a place like Pittsburgh, being together in a place like Pittsburgh, has that opportunity to create a chance for people to come better together and with better understanding. If we're going to get to the other side of this period of division, we're going to need to get there together, and we need to have more and more of these spaces to create opportunities to grow and understand and learn together. And what you are making happen in the cultural district is to build on an incredible history, but to make it relevant for this moment so that we can get there.
That is such the word, relevant for this moment, while honoring the past.
So looking to the future, the name of our podcast is We Can Be. And we like to end each episode with this question. As you think about our community, our country and the broader world, what can we be?
I hope that through coming together and gathering, we can be more kind, we can be more empathetic towards each other.
Kendra, thanks for spending the time here. We are so fortunate you're in our community, and we are so excited to see what the opening of Arts Landing is going to be in just a few short months.
Thank you so much, Chris. We are grateful for you and the Heinz Endowments and all you do for Pittsburgh.
Now I'd like to bring in our resident expert on this subject to give her thoughts on the conversation we just heard. Jasmine DeForest, Managing Director of our Arts and Culture program here at the Endowments. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I'm glad to be here.
Jasmine, you've worked in depth in another major Midwest city, Detroit, and you've also had national connections in the arts for quite a while. What strikes you as unique about the Cultural Trust and the Cultural District in Pittsburgh?
One of the things that I find unique about the Cultural District is the legacy of Jack Heinz and the evolution that we've seen of that initial legacy that started in the late 70s. 80s. And just to be able to see that come to life through Arts Landing, through the work of the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, and also the scale of programming that the Trust does. And so we have a premier destination for Broadway, for a variety of different theater. And I feel like sometimes that's overlooked, the scale of the organization and the impact that they're having here in Pittsburgh.
That scale is also concentrated. As Kendra pointed out, there's 7 different venues of different sizes that allow different types of performances to be happening really close together. What does that do for a region and for a sense of community around the arts?
It not only creates a sense of belonging, but it also increases access to diverse offerings in performance theater and performing arts. And so being able to operate at that scale, to think about how we have access to the arts. Also, when you're thinking about multi-generational access, the school programs that they're doing through the Trust, that's all impactful, I think, in making sure that Pittsburgh is an attractive place to live, work, play, and stay. And so even deeper than that, all of the artists and the creative talent that they're working with. And so that's also contributing to the creative economy. That's what I think about, is just how diverse it is, how accessible it is, and also how they are contributing to the overall arts and culture ecosystem and the creative economy here in this region.
And take that one step further. They play this role that is centrally located downtown with these venues, but as you note, support programming in different kinds of ways with different audiences. How does that play out in this broader ecosystem that the Heinz Endowments supports in the region?
When we say that we want to support and build a region that is exemplary, sustainable, and really has a sense of belonging for all, supporting organizations like the Trust, really speaks to that. I mean, it's really reflected in our values and really that sense of belonging and wanting to ensure that people of all socioeconomic levels, of all ages, of all abilities will have access to the arts. And although it is concentrated downtown, we're seeing downtown is full of school buses right now with kids coming in from all over watching their shows. And so they are not only just populating and programming for downtown, they are creating programs for all of Pittsburgh and the region.
So we've heard a lot, especially post-pandemic, about people not coming out as much, and that was part of a broader trend where a lot of folks can access entertainment with such ease from their own home. The Cultural Trust is doing pretty well these days. What do you look at in an organization to assess their strength, and what do you see in the Cultural Trust that is helping them weather this moment?
I think one is that the Cultural Trust is a pillar within Pittsburgh. They have a long-standing history of being for the community and about the community of Pittsburgh, and also how they engage with their audiences and how they engage with their community. They are often doing surveying to understand what their audiences are thinking about, how they're engaging with the art. And so when you think about post-pandemic, one of the things that I often think about is, what did we learn? And how are we tracking those learnings so that if this happens again, the arts and culture sector will be better prepared? And we know that the trust is taking those steps, not only producing quality and excellent productions available to all, free programs, ticketed programs, school programs, so that diversity and that accessibility, but then they are also documenting and surveying and collecting data so that they can learn and that they can track audience behavior.
Yeah, her comment about Major League Baseball and learning from another industry that is a presenting industry that has so clearly mined everything they can from data and information, not only on the field about performance of players, but also their customer base and how they are shifting around. I think that makes perfect sense, and it was really interesting to hear her make that connection.
Yeah.
One of the other things that she raised that I thought was interesting, she talked about the pressure on theaters from audiences now for exceptional experiences. Not just the performance, but the experience in the venue before and after the performance, and then in the neighborhood before and after the performance. I wonder how that struck you, and what does that mean to you?
I love that. I think that to see theater performances, and then pandemic happened, and so everything went virtual. And out of the pandemic, people want to be in theaters, or they want to be in venues where they are immersed with art and with theater and with stage productions. And so that is from the moment you walk into a venue. What is the experience like? What is the staff like? How are you being welcomed? How are you being greeted? Are there snacks available? Are there beverages available? And then once you are in the theater to watch a performance, how is it unique? Is it innovative? Is it immersive? Is it experiential? And I think that audiences want to see the classics, but they also want to see theaters take a risk and shake things up a bit.
And then one of the things we touched on in this conversation with Kendra is the large commitment that has come from government and corporations and philanthropy to redevelopment of this multiple acre parcel right on the river downtown, Arts Landing. What is so important about public spaces to a vibrant arts and culture community in any region?
It's so important. I just had a flashback. When I first moved to Pittsburgh from Detroit, I felt claustrophobic downtown, and I felt like Pittsburgh deserved to have a downtown where you have moments of awe and moments where you can take a breath, and that usually comes from green spaces. I am very excited and was very excited about the idea of Arts Landing and seeing that come to life, because there needs to be more green space that's open to all, available to all in the downtown area. But public spaces in general are the places that no matter what age you are, no matter what you look like, you are welcome into that public space. And so it's important for us, based on our values, that we are supporting spaces that are inclusive and that are accessible, not just from you can walk in and there's no ticketing, but is accessible from ability, a disability, a sensory level. And Arts Landing has all of those components. It is going to have an amazing playscape. It's going to have free programming, diverse programming. I heard you all talking about the Sugar Hill Gang. And did
don't
you
get
rap?
me going
Did
on
you
that.
rap?
I did not. And don't get me started.
Okay. And so that is what makes me excited, and I believe aligns with not only our strategy, but even the vision that Jack Heinz had for the cultural district. It's like, how can we spread that into the neighborhoods and make sure that Pittsburgh residents have access to safe and inclusive public spaces?
Well, it is fantastic to have the history with the Cultural Trust. It is exciting with Kendra's leadership and the team there, they are making happen. And it is a joy to be working with you at the Heinz Endowments to help them and the broader region reach that vision.
Thank you, Chris. I enjoyed it. And I do want to hear you rap Sugar Hill Gang one day.
I said a hip, hop, hip, hop, and you don't stop, a rock to the bang, bang, boogie, set up, jump, the boogie to the rhythm of the boogity beat. Now what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to move your feet. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I'm here to say hello. And maybe it's time to say goodbye.